This is 2004's Debs. Warning, spoilers ahead. We open up to students taking tests, and the epic trailer guide tells us that there's a secret test hidden in the SATs that test your ability to be spies, and those who are accepted are sent to a special school to own their skills. These women are called Debs. When a movie starts with epic trailer guy's voice, you know it's gonna be a good time. Need him to narrate my whole life. After that intense intro, we arrive at a quiet neighborhood that has force fields around the house that the Debs live in. Meet Amy, Dominique, Janet, and Max. They're the Debs for Sector 1. Mr. Phipps rings the morning alarm for the girls, and Max makes her rounds to get all of the girls together. Finally, they all head out to go to school, and Amy tells the girls that she broke up with Bobby this morning. Janet thought that he was sweet, but Amy just wasn't feeling it. Eventually, they get to Debs Academy, and they head inside to meet Phipps at a booth. These girls order their breakfast, and the only one that I can say I would enjoy is Dominique's coffee. Black. After the girls order, Phipps tells them that they're going to have a special guest with them, Ms. Petrie. Sure enough, she phases right in and gets down to business. She tells Phipps that Lucy Diamond is back in the States, and she wants it handled quickly. Just like that, she's gone. Phipps goes over who Lucy Diamond is, and it turns out that she's the last of a family crime syndicate. Her specialty is diamonds, and her partner's name is Scud. 2000s comedy didn't give a damn when it came to names. Scud? Really? You can't even actively come up with a name like that. Open your mouth and make a sound. Lucy Diamond isn't exactly original either. Apparently, no one has ever fought Lucy Diamond and lived to tell about it. Phipps thinks that she's back in the country to meet Ninochka, and Phipps leaves the girls to come up with a plan. Elsewhere at the secret lair, Lucy and Scud go over Ninochka's profile, and he tells her that the meeting is set up for tonight. Lucy tells him to cancel the meeting, and she points out that she doesn't do blind dates. Apparently, she was actually going to meet up for a potential first date. Scud tells her that she has to get back out there at some point, and Lucy tries to come up with excuses. Scud thinks that she's still upset because she was dumped, and he thinks that a date with a beautiful assassin will help her. Lucy finally agrees to go, and she gets ready. That evening, Lucy arrives for her date, but the Debs are waiting for her while sitting on swings from the ceiling. Amy asks Max if she thinks she could go to art school after they're finished their training, but Max doesn't understand why she'd want to leave since she's the best Deb around. You know who needs an award? Bobby. This guy is relentless in his attempts to talk to Amy. He's so relentless that he zips down to talk to her. Apparently, the Debs aren't the only ones waiting for Lucy. What better time to try and talk this over than while on a stakeout? Bobby thinks that there's someone else, but Amy finally breaks it to him that she's just not in love with him. Bobby tells her that she'll be back, and he zips back to his own group. Meanwhile, Scud is outside giving Lucy a pep talk, and she doesn't understand how she can hold the whole world hostage but can't go on a date. Eventually, she heads inside and the Debs spot her. Lucy sits down with Ninochka, and Amy seems to get caught up in what she sees. Lucy tries to make small talk with Ninochka, but Ninochka opens up about how she actually wants to be a dancer instead of an assassin. And hey, Bobby's back, and of course he ruins everything. He asks for his bracelet back, and he goes flying into Lucy's soup. Wow, look at the comical size of Max's gun. They didn't even try to make it look realistic. It's starting to look like an Inspector Gadget movie. As Lucy and Ninochka take cover behind the bar, she tries to explain that she's just not interested in her while they fend off the agents. Ninochka ditches her there, and Lucy gets ready to take on the Debs. Cue that epic techno beat that plays in every spy movie in slow-motion cameras. Man, this really takes you back. Lucy manages to make it outside, and Max thinks that they should go after her. Janet doesn't think they should follow, but Max reminds her that she's the only one without her stripes here. They split up, and Amy manages to be the one that goes the same way as Lucy. The two of them bump into each other, and Lucy just points out that she was there for a blind date. After hearing this, Amy feels much more relaxed, and she explains that she's actually writing a thesis paper on her. The two of them officially introduce themselves, and Lucy manages to give her the slip as the other Debs arrive. Amy tries to tell them that Lucy was here, but they think that's impossible since Lucy never leaves anyone alive. When they see diamonds scattered all over the floor, they know that she's telling the truth. Meanwhile, Lucy manages to make it to the car, and she tells Scud about how she potentially met someone. Still can't get over the name Scud. That poor man. He had to have picked it, or his mother really hated him as a baby. When Lucy tells Scud about Amy, he freaks out. He tells her that Amy is the only person to get a perfect score on the secret spy test, but Lucy doesn't care. They creep up to the Deb house, and Lucy sneaks into the house in one of the most cringy moments in cinematic history. When Lucy wakes Amy up, they end up fighting until Lucy tells her that she wanted to see her. She tries to tell her that she can't, but Lucy ends up technically kidnapping her. Not only Amy, but Janet tags along too since she sees Lucy's face. Lucy takes them through a secret tunnel to the junk pit, but Amy and Janet refuse to get out of the car. It only takes a moment before Janet says that she has to pee. So now it's just Amy in the car. But that doesn't last long because Janet gives her the death stare. Once inside, Janet heads to the bathroom and Lucy takes Amy to a booth. Lucy tries to bring down Amy's walls, and the only way to do that is to talk about her thesis. How many of you spent your first date talking about your thesis papers? Probably way more than I originally thought, but still, that is not what this movie was advertised as. Eventually, Amy mentions that she broke up with her boyfriend, and Lucy totally gets what Amy means when she says that love should feel like a drug. When Amy brings up the fact that Lucy kills everyone that goes against her, Lucy points out that those stories are extremely over-exaggerated. Meanwhile, Scud and Janet are having a blast playing foosball, and Janet doesn't understand why Lucy is hitting on Amy. She doesn't think that she's into that kind of thing, but it definitely looks like Amy might be into it. When Amy asks Lucy if she'll see her again, Lucy asks if she wants to. Amy mentions that she could get kicked out of the Debs for this, and Lucy leans in to kiss her. Janet interrupts her though, and Amy tells Lucy to take her home. Leave it to Janet to cock-block at a moment like that. Even after they get dropped off, Janet looks so disapproving. Amy tells Lucy that she won't see her again, and Janet calls her out for going against her directive and liking a girl. Amy blackmails Janet if she doesn't keep her mouth shut, and when they get to the house, they find Max waiting on the porch. Max asks where they were, and Amy tries to say that they went for a walk because she was upset about breaking up with Bobby. The next day, Amy's a legend for living to tell the tale about fighting Lucy, but Janet thinks Amy's a slut. It turns out that Ms. Petrie is coming to get her picture taken with Amy, and she pulls her aside to tell her that she's the leading expert in Lucy Diamond now. Then Petrie pulls out Amy's thesis to show exactly why she wants her to use her as a way to create a criminal profile. Then, Petrie refers to Amy as the lamb in Silence of the Lambs. Was there actually a lamb in that movie? Feel like I need to rewatch that now. Before Petrie leaves, she makes Amy the new squad captain so they can go catch Lucy Diamond, and Max is anything but thrilled. In fact, she's furious. What makes Max even more furious about the situation is the fact that Amy doesn't even want the position. She eventually comes to terms with the situation, and the alarm sounds for Lucy Diamond pulling off a robbery. The Debs head to the bank that Lucy's holding up. Inside the bank, Scud gets the heads up that Debs are coming, and he gives Lucy the ETA. She asks him one last time if she looks good, but Scud thinks that this whole thing is stupid. Outside, Amy gives the girls their directive and they head in. I had no idea that this is what the movie was going to be, but it's actually more entertaining than it was originally advertised. It's actually pretty fantastic. Lucy tries to get Amy to leave the group, but Amy isn't falling for it. As the girls continue, Max thinks that they're falling into a trap, and she lets Amy know exactly how she feels about her being in charge. Amy isn't taking this anymore though, and she orders Max to secure the bank vault. After that, they all head into the vault. Amy activates a trap door, and the others are locked in the vault. When Amy falls down the chute, she finds Lucy waiting for her, and she tries to reason with her. Meanwhile, the girls are dealing with spikes coming from the ceiling now. Downstairs, Amy takes a second to point out that she doesn't like Lucy like that, but her attention turns to her friends. Lucy deactivates the booby trap at the last second and they kiss. Lucy tries to convince Amy to leave with her, but Amy explains that she'd lose everything. When Max and the others get to the room, they find Lucy's diamonds and Amy's tie. Lucy literally staged the scene to make it look like Amy's been kidnapped. Better yet, Scud and Janet are emailing each other. This is just a feel-good story all the way around. While Amy is enjoying her time with Lucy, Janet tries calling to see when she's going to stop the charade, and Max and Dominique are tearing up the town trying to get information. One night, Lucy and Amy relax in bed, and Amy talks about the secret spy test that got her into Debs. Amy tries to point out that you should do what you're good at, but Lucy thinks that you should do what you love. Amy opens up about how she wants to go to art school, but she thinks that she has to stick with being a Deb. After talking about it more, Lucy starts to think that Amy is with her to self-sabotage her spy career. But Amy admits that she just feels more like herself with Lucy. Lucy tells her that they can run away to Barcelona so she can go to art school, and she agrees that she'll stop playing the villain if they go. Sounds like a win-win situation. But leave it to Ninochka to mess everything up. She saw the two of them at the club one night, and she calls Max to tell her. Well, fantastic. Janet tries to call Amy to give her a heads up, but she's a little preoccupied. Max, Dominique, Janet, and Bobby gather at Lucy's hideout, but they set off the alarm. Scud and the guys rally to stop the intruders, and Scud takes a moment to compliment Janet on her outfit. After handling the thugs, they move on to Lucy's bedroom where they find the two of them in bed. The group leaves them there, and Amy heads back to the Debs house later that night. Inside, Ms. Petrie and the rest of the admin are waiting for her, and Amy's best excuse is to say that she was conducting research. Max thinks that she has a way to come out on top of this. No one else knows anything about what's going on, and she thinks that the best way to go about this is to act like nothing happened. Max wants Amy to get back with Bobby, give a report on Lucy, and say that she was rescued by the team. That's pretty quick thinking, but now they have to trust that Amy won't go back to Lucy. Of course, Amy agrees to these terms, but is she really going to tell the director who's going to send her to Siberia that she's in love with a villain? Sadly, Janet gets burned in the process too, and Max tells her that she won't get her stripes since she knew about everything. In the end, Amy has her team, but she doesn't have her friends. The next day, Amy's brought in to answer questions about Lucy, and her team shuns them while they're on missions. Eventually, Bobby drops in on one of their missions, and he tries to break the ice with her. Bobby explains that he still loves her, and the team eventually moves back over to her. One night in her room, Amy turns around and finds Lucy standing in her window. Lucy thinks that this is all going to be a little game that they play, but after multiple warnings, Lucy tries to tell her to think for herself, and the other Debs barge in and start shooting. Lucy manages to make it to her car, and she fires a gift that Amy gave her back in through the window. So what does Lucy do next? She heads to her lair to destroy Australia. Isn't that what all lovers wish they could do if they had the power? Scud stops her though, and he asks if she'd be willing to give up her life of crime to be with Amy. After Lucy tells him that she'd do anything, Scud wires all of the stolen money back, and Lucy heads back to school to take the SAT. She sends signals to Amy as big as possible, but it's not enough. Eventually, Scud tells Lucy that it's time for Plan B. Meanwhile, Phip stops in to check on Amy, and he hints that he knows she's hurting because of love. She asks him what the secret test actually measured, and he tells her that it only measures her ability to lie. She's the perfect liar. He tells her to have fun tonight at the big endgame event, and the Debs head there with their dates. Meanwhile, Scud and Lucy are going over the blueprints to the building, and his big plan is for her to just tell her that she loves her. Short, simple, and to the point. Great. Plus, the best friend here is Janet. She's still wondering if they should just let Amy love Lucy. A whole building full of super spies, and that's what's on her mind. Finally, Max heads over to Amy to give her her acceptance speech, and they head backstage. Ms. Petrie heads up to announce Amy winning the award, and Bobby gets word that Lucy Diamond has been infiltrating the facility. Everyone arms themselves to the teeth, and they head out to search for Lucy. Amy heads on stage to accept the award, and she lies about her encounter with Lucy. Meanwhile, Bobby is shooting the air vents trying to get Lucy when she falls into the building. Lucy makes it to the soundstage to listen to Amy's lies, and she starts to think that she made the wrong decision. When Amy looks up and sees Lucy, she opens up about the truth, and she embarrasses the organization by running away to Lucy. What makes things weirder is the fact that no one's going after Amy at all. She literally just said she's going to meet up with a dangerous criminal and everyone just let her go. As chaos erupts, Lucy and Amy rush to find each other, but the Debs and Bobby are on their tail. They run downstairs and bump into each other at the same spot they bumped into each other at the beginning. Then the Debs arrive, and Max tells Lucy that she'll hunt her down if she breaks Amy's heart. The Debs say their goodbye, and Lucy and Amy get away just as Bobby's and the others arrive. Also, Janet and Scud start dating. It's a win-win for everyone as Lucy and Amy drive down the waterside. Then the credits roll. Been a while since I did a feel-good movie like this one, and the best ones came from the early and mid-2000s, so give it a shot. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this one. Comment what you think I should watch next, and I'll see you in the next video.